We'll go over that more in depth as we begin. And then I want to focus on SAS because writing CSS can be really hard. CSS is really complicated and it's only getting more complicated. So SAS is basically like it's a preprocessor, which means that you write in this SAS language and it processes it into regular CSS. So you don't even have to touch the CSS file, you just touch the SAS file instead. And it looks a little bit different, but it's the same exact ideas of like customizing colors, font sizes, styles, but in it's in like a really special syntax, and I think you'll like it if you haven't used it before. And that's what we'll be using today to make this site. So I hope you enjoy that. All right, that's it. It's time to code, I think, unless we have like some questions up front. I know we've asked you guys to provide some websites. So I don't know if anyone wants to raise their hand if they suggested this one. This is the one I'm going to try to do first. Creativecommunity.space. If you want to put in the chat if this was you, if not, yeah. Is that cool?
Yeah, I'll try to find who shared this on Instagram. Thank you everyone for sharing the websites. We had a lot of fun looking at them, and looks like no one's written in on the chat on either YouTube or Zoom. So I think we're ready to just dive right in.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah, this website is, I don't even fully understand, like, I don't know what this is for. This was just sent to me. I only found out about this website in the past probably like 3 days or so. So I haven't had the time to, I'm not a member, so there's some pages that I can't access, but I mean, it's a beautiful interface. It's very interactive and there's a lot going on here. So let's just go, I think I'm just gonna start with like the general layout and kind of like talking about it in pseudocode, and then we can jump into the actual code here. Basically, we have this giant type up here in its own section, which is just what I'm seeing. I'm just going to describe what I'm seeing without looking at the code. And then we have this kind of grid section here. And my first thought when I see this can just be done with CSS grid, which is maybe it's not new. It seems new. One of the newer CSS updates, which allows you to make stuff in a grid instead of just flex with like columns and stuff. You can actually do a two-dimensional grid. So yes, thank you, Liam. Yes, it is new. Maybe a few years. It's new to me. I've only started really enjoying using it in the past, probably 2 years. But it allows us to do like crazy stuff like this, where like, see this column here spans the height of 2 of these. I guess the biggest feature of this, I'd say, is that we're changing the color values based on my mouse position. Can you guys see my mouse when I move it? Like, does the mouse itself, I mean, I guess you can see the little painting too, but.
Yes, we can see your mouse, Ryan.
Okay, I forgot that. Yeah, thank you. So it also gives us these values here. And it took me a while. I was like looking at this earlier today. I was like, I forgot that there's something called an HSL color, which is the hue, saturation, and lightness. And you can actually use that in CSS. So you can just, instead of doing RGB with the red, green, and blue values, you can just do saturation, hue, and lightness, which I can show you right here. HSL, this is HSLA, A meaning transparency, but we're just going to be focusing on these. And you can translate between them. So like an RGB value, you can have the same exact color in HSL. So this would be the saturation, lightness, and hue. So we're going to keep that in mind for later, but yeah, that's like the main directive. And then on top of all of this is this, it's not everywhere, but in like the places where there's no text, you can actually draw using your mouse, which I think is very nice. And especially on mobile, when you're on your phone, it's like really, really performant and pretty slick effect. And then you can, just by moving, you don't have to click and drag, it just happens. So we're going to work on that as well. And then they have some other little cool things, which I always love to do, is adding like the date and time. I do that for like some of my websites. I think it's fun and just kind of feels personal. they also have your IP address, my IP address here, which we can maybe dive into at the end.
Oh, do you want me to blur that out in the final recording?
Um, sure.
Okay, I'll do that.
I think it's just like a local one. I don't fully know. I am, yeah, that's crazy. Okay. All right. So I think we have a pretty good grasp of what this page is and like kind of how it works. And they also have this nice hover effect on each individual box here. And I believe it's picking a random number, random color value each time. It's probably easier to see here. Yeah, it actually might be changing with the mouse position. We can workshop that for sure. At least to start, I want to just have it be a random one. But yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do all this in a Git repository. I'm not going to be doing the most advanced like Git commits and stuff. I'm probably just going to do one big commit at the end, but I just want to encourage all of you to use Git whenever you're using this stuff, because I want to deploy this at the end of this workshop to like a real website that you guys can go on afterwards and steal that code. So yeah, let's just go to GitHub and make a new repo. I'm doing it on here because I like using the GitHub desktop app, which may be taboo in some circles, but it's a lot easier than memorizing every single Git command. I'm not embarrassed to say that. So let's call this one.
You shouldn't be. I use it too.
Thank you. I do some stuff like, I think like for like 50% of my work, like for my day job, I do a lot of command line stuff with Git, just because I have this weird like deployment setup. But for everything else, I just prefer to use this interface, which you all will see soon. So painting a website, type, and then make this public here. Cool, no description. All right, and then we're going to open this in GitHub. Perfect. All right. And then the great thing about this app, GitHub Desktop, is you can just click open in whatever your default text editor is, which is fantastic. So makes it a lot easier. Okay. So I also want to show you some cool tricks for VS Code. These may not all be unique to VS Code, but I find them very useful. So let's just start with the index.html. There's a cool trick because I always will somehow manage to forget everything that goes into an HTML file. Like I'll miss the viewport defaults and all that stuff. So you can just press exclamation point and then enter, and it just generates all that for you. I think it's great, especially like this stuff, like the initial scale, that stuff matters, especially when you're doing like responsive stuff, and it's really easy to forget. And there's been so many times I'm like banging my head against the wall, like, why is this, Flexbox not even working on mobile when it should? It's probably because the initial scale was screwed up. So let's call this painting. Cool. All right. Yeah, let's dive into, I guess, real quick before I set up. Let's just add this CSS here first. If you're using Visual Studio Code, you can just type the word link and then just go to the CSS, and it just does that for you, which I think is fantastic. Oh, sorry. Let me make my screen bigger. I'm so sorry, guys. Is that better?
You're good. This is awesome.
Cool. Thanks for that question, by the way, in there. Definitely, I'm down to workshop this. I've at least like I'm determined to make the grid part at least of this website, and then if you guys want me to make something else or do like a different, can't like hover effect on top of everything, we can mess around with that too. But yeah, okay. So we have this. We've added this here, and let's make the CSS folder. I like to do everything in folders, even for like a super small site like this, just so it's kind of organized and there's less stuff we have to look at on the sidebar, because I know this can get like insanely cluttered pretty fast. And yeah, so instead of doing just CSS, right, we could do all this in CSS. There is a better way, I think, and we're going to be using NPM to hook up Sass into here. All right. So if you don't know, you can just go to terminal, new terminal, or some kind of obscure hotkey, which is like Control Shift tilde. But we can just start in here. So we're just going to do npm init, which basically it kind of like sets up npm. It just tells npm that we're going to be using it in the future here. So you can kind of, this is all like set up boilerplate stuff. You can just hit enter a bunch of times until it's done. And all this really does, it creates this package.json file. And the main thing that we're going to be working with here is the scripts. But before we add a script, we're going to install Sass. And like I said, Sass basically lets us write CSS, but in a way, instead of writing each class by itself, we can nest classes. You can do variables. We're going to be doing a little loop in here pretty soon. So yeah, it's a lot more advanced, and then it just compiles into CSS, and you'll see what that looks like pretty soon. So the one that I use, which is like the most, I think it's the one that's supported now by Sass, is called Dart Sass. So you can just type npm install dart-sass, and then it'll just install it there for us. And now we have this folder of node modules. We can kind of ignore the contents of this for now because it's installed like a bunch of extra stuff that I think Dart Sass needs to run. But we can create a new script in here, and we can call it Sass, just to call it anything. It can be called compressed. I sometimes call it compressed, but just so it's like, I use this across almost every project I use. So I like to just call it the same thing. So Sass here. And then it's kind of a convoluted, well, it makes sense, but it's kind of a long command here. So you can just type in Sass -- watch, which tells it to watch a certain thing for changes. And we're going to do, we're going to make a Sass folder soon. Just call it Sass. And then I'll do style.css. And then once that's compiled, we're going to put it back into the CSS one. Sorry. Okay, so let's just make it so it makes a little more sense here. Okay, let's just say body background color red. And then so if you look at this, this is normally not something that we can do. I'm putting a div inside the body tag. Normally you'd have to put the div, you have to type something like body div. But since we're using Sass, we can just do this here. And if we save this and then run npm Sass, npm run Sass, it compiled it into there. So just by typing this, we now have like a super specific div inside body tag. It doesn't seem like, I mean, this example isn't exactly groundbreaking, but you'll see as we go deeper using more variables. We can even do for loops in Sass. So if you want to like repeat a class a bunch of times with little changes to it, you can do a for loop and you'll have all of those just spit out right in here, which is fantastic. And yeah, for the purposes of this, I'm just not even going to look at this CSS file for a little bit. We're just going to work in here. And then let's do this here. I have a program on here called Live Server, which is a extension for VS Code. It's by Ritwik Day. Highly recommend it, especially just for like, you know, doing a live server on static HTML files. A lot of like other languages like Svelte and React and all that stuff have like pre-built live servers, but just standard HTML, if you don't want to install like an NPM package for doing a live server, this one works just fine. All right. Cool. So I think a good place to start out is like the most complicated part of the grid, just so we get that out of the way. And then we can fill it with our own content later. I also want to point out the cool kind of slick thing that this website does is it shrinks with with the viewport and also has like a little bit of an animation as it shrinks and grows. And it also, I mean, when it gets on mobile, it's pretty small because it's using something called the VW units for measurement, which basically means that you're sizing it instead of in pixels, you're doing it based on the viewport width, which I think is a pretty slick way to make like super responsive websites, right? Like the font size will always be the same ratio to the width of the screen. And even on mobile, since I think technically a lot of like newer phones have high DPIs, the font size isn't actually that tiny on a mobile phone. It would just be like, it would appear a little bit bigger. So it's not like the end of the world if it looks really tiny on desktop and it's shrunk like that. So yeah, let's dive into the grid. And let's get rid of this here. Let's make it like a nice chill. I don't know, what are you thinking? Like, I like this green, like a little dusty green. Cool. All right. So the first thing, I'm just looking at this. Let's look at the code real quick. Just so we're on the same page with this one. I'm not going to be referencing it a ton, but just so we can see that this is a grid here. And if you hover over something that's a CSS grid, it does this nice like dotted effect where it shows the breakpoints of the grid, which is pretty cool. And what they're doing as well, they're doing viewport widths for the font size, as you can see. And the padding as well is based on percentages rather than like a specific pixel or like EM or REM size. Cool. All right. So let's start by making a grid here. Just do a div. Another cool thing about VS Code, if you just want to type a class name, like if you want to create a div with a class name, you can just type grid and it just creates the whole div with the class name. The same goes for like a p tag. You can do a title, and even like IDs, and you can stack these as well. So if you're going to do like grid blue, dot grid blue, you can stack those, which is pretty neat. All right, so let's just do let's make a couple of these grid items to start. This is something I do a lot. Before, like if I'm making a layout, I literally just do like, I just name them so I can keep track of them in the layout like itself. There might be a better way to go about doing this, but I don't know. This is where I'm at right now. So we have these 4 objects here, and let's just go in and start making this grid here. So we can do grid, and then we just do display grid. Let's see what that looks like. Doesn't look like much. Okay. And we see, let's go back to the site here. They have, it's basically a 3-column, and even on mobile, it's a 3-column. So we can just keep that. We can set the columns in the CSS using something that is unique kind of to the grid itself is an FR. So we do grid template columns. We can just do 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR if we'd like. Right there. FR, I think, I can't even tell you what it stands for. I think it's a frame, or maybe someone in the comments can tell me what an FR is, because I don't know. Just stands for real, maybe. Fraction. Thank you.
Yeah, fractional.
Not for real.
I like for real better.
Sick. Okay. Yeah, so it's 1 fraction. It basically means like 1, if you do 3 of them, you'll have each one's gonna be 1/3. If you do 5, each one's 1/5. Yeah. But then there's actually a trick you can just do, which I think is also unique to this, is just do this for 3 and then 1 FR. So instead of just typing it, this one makes a lot more sense if you're doing like 20 or something, if you're doing like a really intense grid, it doesn't take that much effort to write one FR 3 times, but yeah, we'll be, hip and cool with this. Font size 2 VW, which is what they have going on over here. And look at that. Beautiful, responsive, incredible shrink going on there. It looks really small when you make it very small, but I don't know. There's something so satisfying about doing like a VW for the font size. I think it's so nice. It's like a great solution. There's also something responsive fonts. Is this one? Yeah. Yeah. This is like a more advanced version of this, where you can kind of set the min and max font size. And you can basically set these here. And it uses viewport width and some weird math to basically clamp it between these two values. I think now there's actually a clamp function in CSS, which may kill this whole thing, but I don't know. I've used this in the past, and a lot of other websites have used this in the past. Yeah, and it's like a way to like kind of prevent it from getting too small on the shorter end here. Yeah, just definitely something to keep in mind. I'm always looking for like new, typography CSS hacks. There's also a nice library, I think, called Fitty, which does the same thing. Tree Fitty. And it kind of does the same thing. Let's check out a demo. Yeah. See that? Yeah, it fits the text to its parent container, which is equally useful, probably more useful for like headlines and stuff. The font calculator is more, I think, for body text and stuff like that. Okay, so let's look here. We have these things. Let's give them some padding. And then here's the real beauty of the grid here. So you can just create a div inside of this grid. And now that we're referencing all divs inside the grid, which is just fantastic, So let's just do padding. Cool. There we go. Okay. And then I think they did something really clever when it comes to the borders of these things. There's always kind of like an issue. Let's see if I can keep that dark. When you're doing grid and you want to have like borders, you may have run into this before. If you put two items with borders next to each other, it doubles the border width. It like stacks it together. So if you just want like a 1 pixel border, it's almost just doing it without any kind of adjustment is impossible because it just stacks them together. So what they did here, which I think is really smart, they basically give it a negative margin of 1 pixel. And then since there's going to be like 2 of them, it overlaps basically because there's only a border of 1, as you can see here. I thought this was super clever and I stole that. So that's part of the project here is stealing one-to-one CSS when you find something clever like that. I'm not going to steal all of it, but I just think that is like an incredible hack. It's something that I run into all the time. So yeah, let's keep going. Border, and let's do 1px solid. Let's do black to start. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. That rocks. Okay. And then they also have that nice transition there. So we can just do transition. Look at that. And the transition property, it's kind of advanced for what it is. You can get away with a lot of stuff. And especially since we're doing this viewport thing, it animates every time the screen changes because, the font size is changing every single time. And if you look here, computed, yeah, font size 11.2. and now it's 12. And now, I don't think you can see it, but yeah, 17. So it does change every time, and CSS takes care of the animation and transition between those. Okay. All right. I think now's a good time to get into like editing this grid and making it our own. And there's a pretty cool trick I want to show you guys that I used for another project where I wanted to make a grid, but I wanted to be able to fine tune control how many squares of this grid each one took up. So let's look back at our site here. So this is, even though they're different heights, right? We can think of this as taking up one vertical space and then 1, 2, 3 horizontal spaces. So one row and 3 columns. And you can do like a little thing in CSS if you want to change the span, like the column span and the row span of something. You can do, I have this little system, so you don't have to use this, but I like doing this. So just to keep it simple, I just do 1 by 1. You have to prefix it with an underscore, I think, for CSS reasons. You can't have a number be at the start of a CSS class. So we do grid, what is it? Grid column, auto by span 1, and grid row, auto span 1. Let's just give it to this one here. We see that nothing happened. But if we look, let's inspect this here. So here's that 1 by 1 class. Let's make it 2. You see that change? It actually happened instantly. You didn't have to hit enter. So 2. Whoa. I think we need to change this padding. That padding is pretty crazy. Maybe we'll do it at 5 VW, maybe 2 VW. That looks good. Okay. So now we can change the span of the column, and then we can also, if we edit in the grid row, you can make it 3, 2, 1. So instead of making manually 1 by 2, 1 by 3, all that stuff, there's a little function in Sass that we can do and take advantage of here. And yeah, it's called a mix-in. And that's something that you can do in Sass, which is unique from CSS, is where you can basically write a, it's called a mix-in, and it's basically like a little, I guess like a tag that you can insert anywhere into your code. So basically it's like a reusable component that you're creating, like CSS components that can do anything from like creating specific colors, or in this case, we're just going to be generating a bunch of class names. So let's go. We define some variables first, and in Sass you define variables with a money sign, which I love doing that. Let's do columns, 3, because there's 3 columns, that's our max. And then oh yeah, rows 3. Why not? This website that we're modeling this off of doesn't actually go into 3 rows, but we can, for this, let's just make this site crazy, and we're just gonna make like a ton of grid like elements, and yeah, just go absolutely nuts with it. So let's just make a bunch now. It's a lot, but we'll name them later and give them content. Okay, so let's define a mix-in. Let's call it, what should we call it? Block generator. Block generator. Pretty fun name. I think I called it like column generator. I was using it basically to animate between states. I'll explain that afterwards. So let's just do, we're gonna do a for loop here. For, if you know anything about like for loops, it's like the same syntax in like JavaScript, for example, just with less parentheses and stuff. From 1 through columns. Sorry, I'm referencing another document just because I want to make sure I get this exactly correct. Rows. Great. Okay. Here we go. I underscore hashtag money sign J. Okay, so let's just go back and reference this real quick. So this is what we're doing here, one by one. And if you just see that we're basically getting the row or the column. So this is like the length here. 1 and then 1. So we're going to do the same exact thing here, but we're just inserting variables instead. And we're basically looping from, 1 through 3. Cool. And yeah. And then once we're done with that, we just do @include and then our mixin. So block generator. Now let's check this out here. This is our CSS file. Oh, wait, let's do this. Let's put an X there. That's a lot better. And I'm not sure if you've seen this, but like, it's hard to tell, but this is compiling each time I hit save. So every time there's a change in this SAS file, it's like instantly compiling into this CSS file. And it does this like super, super fast because it's written in Dart, which is an update from the old one. Apparently this one is like twice or 3 times as fast as Node SAS. So if you're picking between the two, I definitely recommend Dart SAS just because, once you get crazier and crazier with your CSS, if you're doing like, multiple files and like 1,000 lines and stuff, yeah, you just want that speed. So yeah, we've just generated 1 by 1 through 3 by 3. And let's test that out here. So let's just do, here's that 1 by 1. If we look at the page that we're referencing here, the first one is 1 by 3. So 3 across. So let's just make it 1 by 3. Oh, sorry, not 1 by 3. It's 3 across and 1 down. So there we go. Looks pretty sweet. I'm going to change that padding because that's going to kind of bother me here. Let's just do it. Let's just do it there. It'll look a little bit tight on mobile, but I think that's fine. We'll add some breakpoints in later. Cool. All right, so this is a good start. Let's do this too. Let's do margin 2%, margin. Great, and then sweet. Okay, so this is now kind of our grid in the middle. Let's start working on these. Let's work on the background changing. I think that's a good place to start. Just because I don't know if we're gonna have time to get to everything.
Yeah, Ryan, if you're trying to prioritize, we got a request to go over the cursor trail thing.
Oh, okay. All right,
let's that real quickly. But everyone feel free to chat in if you have other requests too.
Yeah, all right, let's do that. I'm just gonna make one JavaScript file for everything. Script. All right. I'm going to do this one. So let's just look at this effect here. It's pretty crazy. They're doing like line generation, which I think I can do. I'll pull up what I was looking at here. So my initial thought to do this is with P5.js, which may be like kind of overkill for this simple effect, but to be honest, I just don't know that much about CSS or HTML canvas. And if we look in here, oh, they're actually using P5. So yeah, there's the sketch. And then inside of that is the canvas. So yeah, they're using P5 as well. So I think we can do that as well and try to replicate it and yeah, make it work for us. Cool. So let's just start out by doing P5.js CDN because I just want to make this quick and I don't feel like downloading P5.js right now. All right, so we can just download P5. I'm just going to download the full thing from here, which is just a CDN, which means it's basically a website that hosts JavaScript files and other content for you. So you don't have to download it. You can just embed it the same way, kind of like doing, if you're familiar with the Google Fonts, same kind of vibe. So you basically just paste the script tag in here. And then to be honest, I'm just going to look this up because I'm not a pro at doing P5.js from scratch. So let's just go and search like, I know what they're doing, right? They're doing, it's like painting, basically. Painting. It's maybe a little too, This is kind of cool. Let's skip this one. That one seems a little bit too intense. Okay, we can kind of reverse engineer this and yeah, just figure it out from there. Okay, let's just do this. No, you know what? Let's just do it one by one here. Setup. I'm not sure if does anyone raise your hand here if you've used P5.js before? Two, is that it?
It's getting more, yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm just lagging hard right now. That's probably correct. My computer's already making tons of noise.
Yeah, I think I saw like 10 at the max before it went back down again.
Awesome. Okay, so sweet. Okay, so if you don't know, P5.js is basically like it's a JavaScript library to help you make canvas-based programs. You can also do some stuff with like manipulating the text on the page, but it basically creates this little interactive space here and comes with like a bunch of pre-built like primitive functions, and they're really human readable. If you've ever tried to do regular canvas, this is the canvas. This is like a type of HTML element that lets you do graphic rendering. And it almost kind of renders as an image. So you can't manipulate these things directly unless you, do some more programming on the canvas. So for example, it's not like creating a new line element in the HTML. It's just kind of running in this canvas area, if I can show you. Yeah. But it allows us to do like human readable stuff like fill, draw a rectangle, create a line. That's like something that would be kind of really difficult to do in pure canvas. So it's like a wrapper around that lets us do a lot of cool stuff. And a lot of artists use it, a lot of web art, net art people, and you can do a lot of cool like interactive stuff like we're about to do here. So I also forgot how to do a full screen canvas. Let's go with this one here. That makes perfect sense to me. Great. So we're going to get the window, the window inner width and window dot inner height, create canvas. And then in our style here, we're going to create the canvas tag here and give it position fixed, up 0, left. So basically, when you create this little code here will create a canvas on our thing here. Let's see if it actually works so far. Great. So there's our canvas right there. Look at that. Doesn't really do anything yet, but cool. So we're going to make let's see what it does. Is it over top of everything or below everything? It's below everything. So great. I made the z-index -1, so it's behind all this stuff. That way we can still like interact and hover and stuff like that. Okay. Sweet. So let's look at this here. We have the draw function and the setup function. So the basic thing with the canvas or with p5.js is we have this setup function, which creates like the things that are static. And then the draw function basically refreshes itself every time. And you're basically looping at whatever frame rate your browser can handle. So even if you're just drawing a circle, like if you're keeping a static circle, it's actually repainting that circle every time, which is kind of like a weird, it's just like how Canvas works, basically. It's just like an animation buffer. So it's just like a series of commands and it just keeps iterating on itself, unless you turn off loop, which we can theoretically do. But let's just do the draw function. And these functions are pre-named. So like p5.js knows to look for this setup and draw function together, and we'll just execute them automatically. That's kind of the nice thing about it too. It creates the canvas for you. It does pretty much everything, like all the hard stuff when it comes to 2D animation on the web. Great. Let's just start out by doing, let's do this here. Mouse is pressed. This is also a default P5 function. Cool. And then there's also something that I want to do, or let's just do this here. Line, nope. Line, mouse X, mouse Y, 10. Does that work? No. Let's do this. That's not it. We have to use something called p mouse X and p mouse Y, which is something like, I think it has something to do with like the next, it calculates the difference between them. So let's look that up. P mouse X contains the horizontal position of the mouse or finger in the frame previous to the current frame. Okay. So wow, that's really interesting. So it basically kind of calculates the difference. So like I said, it's the draw function is running like at a frame rate that's determined by what our browser can do, what our computer can run. And it sometimes fluctuates, so if there's like a lot going on, the frame rate might be really low. But basically this is calculating between frames here. Cool. Great. Okay. And then let's do, there's also something I found for velocity, mouse speed. And I think what they're doing on this site is they actually might just be fluctuating that little mouse trail. But I think it's more interesting if we do like, yeah, if we do it based on mouse speed. So you can control how big or small this the painting tool is. Right. And I found this speed here. So it's based on, we're basically subtracting the mouse position from the previous mouse position. And I think it's using the window position too, which I'm not sure makes a big difference. We can test out seeing what both of those do. Console. Okay. Let's look at that. See that thing at the bottom there where it's 0 and it's just running up the numbers? So this is our speed here. Look at that. So the more I move my mouse, the higher that speed gets. Okay. So let's make, what we're going to be manipulating, I think, is the stroke weight, which is, I think it's just typed, you just do stroke weight. Just type it, let's just make it the speed for now. That's pretty crazy. But as you can see, it's kind of getting bigger based on, wow, yeah. Okay. Let's just do like 1 or 4 plus 3. I don't love that. I want to see if there's a way to like, huh. Huh. Okay, let me think here. Let's see if there's a way to like increase the frame rate. All right, there is something called frame rate, which we can change. And let's see, let's make it 30. See if that helps at all. Let's make it 50. That doesn't help either. I think it's because the speed is changing too dynamically. And I think it is kind of I feel like I'm not being helpful here. Is this even making sense here? I think there's another technique that I've used in the past, right? Okay, let's try this, because the line thing, what I'm just like hating about this is there's like these big, we're basically just drawing rectangles, which sucks. And then let's see.
And hopefully you see this in the chat. This is helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do an ellipse, which is gonna be at mouse X, mouse Y, speed times 0.2. I'm going to do 10 plus. And let's just see what this does here, because I don't know what those values mouse. Hmm. No, that's not helpful either. I'm not entirely. This is what kind of I was worried about because I'm just not a boss at P5. Let me just see like painting. Let's check this one out. No, that's that's very cool, but that's not what we're looking for. Interesting. That doesn't look helpful either. Um, yeah. All right. Misspelling oscillator. I don't even think that like because the issue for me here is that it's like creating a huge gap between um, these things. You know what I mean? Thank you. Um, let's just do this for now. Okay. Let's do if mouse pressed. Mouse pressed, mouse is pressed. And then stroke. No stroke for now. Okay. That's not very good either. We're going to keep it here for now because I want to move on and I don't want to just be stuck on P5 forever because P5JS is one of those things that we can yeah, be stuck on forever. It's just not my forte. I do know a little bit about it, but I think it's better if we just move on to stuff in like pure JS. That way we can finish and have time for questions and everything like that. If that's okay with everyone, I'm sure if we spend some more time with it, we can, we can nail it. I was very worried we would dive into P5JS territory before this, and I'm glad everyone's on board. Okay, um, let's look at this here first. This mouse position thing. Let's turn this. Yeah, we'll keep that here for now. I'm gonna rename this sketch. And then we're gonna do the actual index. Okay. Index.js. And cool. So let's just figure out. So we know we kind of already discussed this in the very beginning up top. Excuse me, up top, where we're just modifying it just tells us here, saturation, hue, lightness. So let's just make those objects here. Just call this debug, which I do a lot. Make a little debug thing and then hide and show it if I need to. And then let's do hue. Sat. lightness. Okay, so now we have this. Great. So let's just make debug with 100%, right? 100%. Position is absolute, so it's let's just do 100V. So like that. Why is it like that? Oh, top. It was have to set that. Left. There we go. That's just some weird CSS stuff. When you do an absolute position thing, when you make it the full, it tries to like fit it next to stuff, and there's that weird overflow. Oh, let's go, Benjamin. Thank you. What is this? Ooh. Should we use it? I'm here for that. That looks cool. Let's put a hold on this for a sec. That's a great find, Ben. Thank you so much. That's legendary. And I like how it's kind of like it's got it's like snake on a rope. If you ever played that, or I don't even think it's a game, but you know, little object for like the worm on a string. This is a worm on a string for sure. That's awesome. Okay, so let's just do hue. Position absolute top 0. Yeah, let's do that. Justify content center, align items center. So we're doing a little bit of flex here just so we can center that stuff. You know what? No, let's just do it like this. Let's put the flex in there. You do that? Okay. Sat is going to be top percent transform, rotate 20 degrees. No, I don't know why I said 20, 90 degrees. Awesome. I have no idea where that went. Let's find it. I have no idea where this thing is. I'm sorry. Let's just work on this here. Just for the sake of time here. So let's just do this. Document dot add event listener. I mean, yeah, I guess I can align all of them to the top just for now, just because it's there we go. That's a little debug. Let's move. Okay, so let's do this. Ooh. All right, so we're going to create a new event listener on the whole document. So whenever we move our mouse over the document, this is separate from P5.js now. Whenever we move our mouse over the document, we're going to get access to the mouse X and the mouse Y. So let's just make those here. And then let's just console.log those. Mouse X, mouse. And now, look at that. We don't have access to those. So let's go back here. Let's see what they're doing over here. I will add this drawing effect back in at the very end. Thank you again, Benjamin, for doing that. It's epic. Let's just look at this here, just because now I'm thinking about it. Inaccessible. Oh, they're like nesting these transforms here. Okay. All right. I'll get to that later. So the mouse X, the X position, is changing the brightness and let me just, I can't really read it. So it's changing the brightness and negative saturation. Okay. So let's make a new function to change the color. X, and it takes in the X and Y. All right. Let's just do change BG X, Y. And we know that the saturation, just from that one website I was looking at here, the saturation can go from 0 to 100. So let's just make a note of that. 100. Saturation, the hue, just start with hue, equals 0. And this can go from 0, I'm looking at this value here, from 0 to 360. 0 to 360. And then lightness. And that's also from 0 to 100. Okay. Let's also do this. I'm just going to get these width and height values so we can use them to kind of divide to figure out. My goal here is basically to figure out what percent my mouse has traveled across the screen, right? So like if we're here, we're at 0%, and here we're at 100. That way I can kind of figure out those values for like saturation and lightness. Okay. So window.inner height. And these are global variables, which means I can access them in this change BG function. So let's just do a little bit of math here. So let's just say, let's just do X divided by the width. So this is going to be our percent across width. W has already been declared. My bad. Mouse X and then mouse Y. Sorry. Is that confusing anyone? I'm sorry, I'm like kind of esoterically creating these functions here. We're basically creating this change background function and we're passing in the X and Y values we get from basically wherever our mouse is. All right, let's comment out this here just so we can focus on the percent. And let's look here. So right now we're at 0, basically 0%. Then all the way over here, we're at 99%. So let's just do, so we can do the saturation equals, let's just do it like this, X divided by width. And I think there's a way to round stuff. So rounds decimal in JavaScript. I'm looking for precision. So I'll probably just search that. So JavaScript precision. I was just looking this up the other day and I just completely forgot it. So there we go. Look at this. Sweet. Precision 2, which is what we're looking for, times 100. So I think we should be looking at, yes, look at that beautiful percentage. And if it's less than 1, it should be 0. Let's do that. So this is not the smartest way to do this, but I'm just going to do this. So if new saturation is less than or equal to 0, saturation is 0. And then else, we're just going to make saturation equal to this. It's a new saturation.
Wait, Brian, should it be less than? It says greater than.
Thank you. Yes, less than. So if we're like less than 0, let's see, because right here, we get to this weird territory where we're in, yeah, just because of the way the math works out, because this is like super precise, because it's a mouse position. So, it gets incredibly precise. Cool. And then HSL, we can just do this. We can do document.style. I can't even make that one work here. Color equals, and then let's just copy this format for HSL here. So this is hue and saturation. Can I do this? No. Oh. We're doing a syntax here called like a template literal, which means that we can just insert that value into there. Elements. This is a dumb thing I'm Googling right now, but bear with me. Document.body. For some reason, I thought I could just type document. Oh, that's why. I was missing this thing here for the percent. Was I not? Let's try this here. Okay. For some reason, it's converting. I'm not sure if you can see this here. It's converting this HSL into RGB here. And I'm going to try to wrap this up very soon. I apologize for taking so slow here. Less than 100%. Yeah. Okay, let's do this here. HTML equals good call. I don't even know what did that change? I changed the third value here. Let's just do 99% or 90%.
Oh yeah, Ryan, I looked this up on an HSL slider, and if your lightness is 100, the color is always white.
Good call. Okay, so we need to be changing the lightness too. So lightness is so this is actually the lightness here. What we're actually editing is the lightness. Great. Fantastic. And then we're just going to change the hue here. And there's a map function I want to do, but I can't, I can't, I'm gonna have to look that one up here. New hue, y divided by height. I'm assuming that these are already defined. Okay. Map value to map values, map numbers. Okay. What I basically want to do, since my thought process here is that we're going from 0 to 360 instead of just 0 to 100. So it's like, um, maybe there's like better math here, and maybe I'm just like misunderstanding how this actually works, but I want to figure out a way to map from 0 to 100, or more specifically from 0 to where my mouse is up here, which I guess is 0 to 100, to 0 to 360. If anyone has any uh, other tips than this, does anyone know math is really my question. In the past, I've used this function here, which I've seen a bunch. P5.js actually has a built-in function that does this. But let's just call it
Ryan, do you see the chat? Someone says clamp is what you're looking for.
yeah, clamp JavaScript. I was thinking, I know that there's clamp in I'm not trying to cap it, I'm trying to remap it. So like I'm trying to get the ratio of oh wait, I guess you're right, right? You're totally right.
You're both saying that both of you are right.
I think this makes sense. No, I don't think so, because look, this 50 returns 50, right? Like would 400 clamp it to, let's just see. Oh yeah, I can just do that. Well, yeah, it would be 1. $360. Hell yeah. Okay.
Thank you for the math.
That was like ultimate small brain move on my part, because I just
I
totally
couldn't figure it out either.
Oh, I forgot how decimals worked. Okay. All right, here we're gonna go. New hue. Woo! Look at that. I think that's what they're doing. I mean, yeah, this is like insane party mode for sure. This is like, maybe they are clamping it, because theirs looks so much more elegant. Yeah, they stop it at 0. No, they do it. Yeah, there's this party mode for sure. Maybe what I can do is in the CSS do like a little transition on the background color. Backgrounds. Let's see, does that work? And maybe make it like, I don't even know if that helps. That actually makes it kind of more dizzying somehow. Hell yeah. I can, I wish I could go into this. This one is actually easier than you think. I think I have one of these maybe in my GitHub I can go over at the end. Um, Once you have it set up, it's actually pretty easy to do that kind of stuff because it's all CSS for the most part. Yeah, look at that font variation settings. So if you, it's just the hard part is getting your font to do this, right? And as you can see, my frame rate is just like getting destroyed right now. Yeah, it's just a variable font, and they're doing, a lot of CSS, a lot of the variable font stuff can be done in CSS. Let's implement this real quick, everyone. Let's, this is gonna be a problem just because I have a bunch of some overlap here. Okay, so let's go into here and we're going to use Sketch 2 now. I think it's going to crash because wow, look at that beauty. I'm going to remove that that weird thing I did for the background because I think it's kind of making it worse somehow. And I think what they're actually doing, I just remembered this, for the, yeah, for the saturation, it's 100% when it's over there. So we're actually doing 100 minus this, or 1 minus this times 100. I think I did that right. Maybe not. Let's focus on this new sketch here. I'm going to do no stroke and then fill white. Did I break this? Oh, file list. And who knows what just happened to this thing? Does anyone have any idea what I just did? What I changed to make this go away here?
I was watching the whole time and I have no idea what happened.
Okay, let me just make sure that this thing is still there. I'm just gonna remove everything that I've done. Oh, you know what I did? Create canvas. I just deleted this part. I think. Let's try it one more time.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say maybe it's the X and Y.
Yeah. Oh, the code completion here is really just getting crazy. Okay. X2. That's great.
Philosophical question. In JavaScript variables, are you a fan of writing out like more descriptive variable names than this?
Sometimes. Yeah, I like to do when I'm doing something like in production, I also do kind of like a CSS preprocessor thing for my JavaScript. So like I do super verbose JavaScript, and then it compiles down into like meaningless garbage. So yeah, normally I would um this one just like trying to rush to get this thing done, and kind of failing at it because I have no idea why. Oh, that's why. I really am not sure why this okay, there we go. That's a start. That's exactly what I was looking for. And just remove the backgrounds.
Just make the canvas bigger, I think, and then we can leave it at that.
How can it like it works for a second, you know what I mean? Like it was really just working a second ago.
Yeah, because the canvas is only 500 pixels right now.
Yeah. Width and height here. But it just doesn't
Oh, and
want
then
to
it
show up
doesn't.
anymore. So
Okay, well, that's how it goes sometimes.
this is the site. Um, I can do this real quick. I'll show you how to add like we'll just do like a little color hover in here. So let's just do kind of like what they do here. Just do grid children. This is just to get a list of let's give this an ID real quick. The cool thing about IDs is you can just like reference them in JavaScript, like without doing anything. So you can just type grid and it knows to look at the grid there. Children, good looks. Okay. Speed round right here. Children, length.
And you don't have to be so fast.
I just want to, yeah.
We're having a good time.
I was gonna try, I was mixing ES6 and like regular JavaScript stuff just there. So I was like getting all turned around. Okay, so we have this children. So this, I'm basically getting a list of all of these, right? And I wanna do real quick, just so we have something that resembles this, okay? For some reason, I thought this would take a lot less time because I had so much planned for it and it's all just breaking in front of my eyes. So I wanna get this list here and then when you hover over it, I want these to change. I want these background colors to change. So I think the easiest way to do that is just to create just loop through each child and then give it an event listener so that when we hover over it, we change its color. And then when we move our mouse away from it, we just change it back to nothing. So the way that we do this is, well, let's just create these functions first. I'm going to do a new syntax, not to confuse you, but to kind of show a different way of writing functions. So I just do the const function, which is a constant. And it's still going to be a function. Let's just call this one change grid, or let's just call this add gradient. And this equals that. Then we're going to pass an event into it, actually. Just E for event, just so it's easier. And then remove gradients. Okay. So let's just say for current child, so that's like the current object in the loop that we're looking at, is children I. So that's the current one, just for our reference, just to make this easier. And then just say current child add event listener. And then that basically means like, well, it makes more sense when I do this. So mouse over. So we're going to create something so that it listens for us mouse over, aka hovering over this current child. So whenever we hover over this thing here, we're going to do something. And since we looped over it, it's going to apply to all of these. Did anyone see that little?
It shows up when it wants to. We can't control it now.
Oh my gosh. P5.js is like really, truly insane. It's unhinged. So let's just do add gradient. And then we're gonna do the same thing, except there's something called mouse out. And then remove gradient, okay? And let's just make, just for the example, backgrounds equals red. And then once we, let's just make this start hovering, stop hover. And instead of just making it transparent, we're just going to make it nothing. Just say this. It's because of that, perhaps. Another issue with nope. Okay.
Is your canvas covering things up?
No, deleting the canvas gets rid of everything too. It still is not, oh, it could be the debug. I'm gonna try this here. That should work. I'm worried that like I'm doing too many like too many like here, I'm gonna remove these things here. Oh, that solved like a million problems at once. That was great. Okay. Um, and then I think I can do pointer events none. There we go. That's something. Can you all see that? We did something. I'm just gonna do gradients. Let's just look at what they do for the gradient because I do like a specific thing. Background linear gradient. I use these things all the time. These are like gradient generators. And yeah, it's basically like a super simple way to generate these. Oh, and then I can make it 90 degrees. What do they do it at? 0 degrees? Sure, let's try that. Looking up how to change the background job. Yeah, the gradient in background. Oh, background image. No? There isn't any tips on these either. Did I type this properly? Am I going crazy here? Hmm. Let's just stick with this here. We can do an image or a color for now. I'm really struggling to find out why I can't do a gradient in there is. I was thinking, yes, Christopher, that's a very good point, Christopher. I think we can do that instead. I think that's actually, since we're just not going to change this, that's a great solve. I was thinking, if I had more time, I guess the site does, they do all this in, they do like random colors each time. Okay, I'll show you. This is the true beauty of SAS now. Hover. And then backgrounds, or here, let's just copy this one now. Zero degrees. Mm. Then we can change these, I guess.
Okay, just to be conscious of time, we have about 15 minutes left. So does anyone have any questions for Ryan real quick?
Yeah, I'm done now. Okay. Yeah, thanks for bearing with me, everyone. Totally. Yeah. Any questions, any comments on the way I'm doing stuff? I know I was kind of all over the place today, and I apologize I couldn't get to everything sooner. I feel like this website is one of those that looks a little easier than it actually appears, especially some of the layout stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Zoe. I appreciate that. Cool. And I'm gonna here, let's do this real quick. All right. Painting website. Okay. Yeah, maybe for next time. Um, yeah, the Compass UI is great. That's just like a fantastic. I do have a link. I might send this. I'm not sure how to contact any of you after this, but I will. I'll try to post something about that later. In the meantime, I'm just gonna go to Netlify real quick.
Ryan, about contacting. Oh yeah, let's watch Netflix.
I'll let Netlify.
But yeah, I have an email list with everyone who signed up for the event. And I'm going to send a follow up with the final video recording. So if you want to include something in that email, just let me know.
Right on. Okay. That sounds perfect. I'm gonna put this site up now. Painting a website. Okay, so if you go to this website now, it should be live. I am direct messaging someone. How do I get out of direct message mode? There we go. Cool. Right on. Yeah, guys, if you have any, if you feel inclined to donate, the Philly Housing Reparations is that money goes to helping at least 18 folks in Philly who are struggling with their rent, people of color, trans folk, and people that need help, and artists in Philadelphia. It helps go to paying their rent for the month of January and beyond. So consider donating to that. And yeah, also happy to answer more questions. And if you guys want to like unmute, I think that's cool. I know it's like kind of a hectic amount of people, but maybe we can do like a hand raising thing. I know that has worked out in the past. If you feel comfortable. I know there's not a ton of stuff to to show off here, but yeah.
Yeah, I just shared my screen with Venmo donation links. And yeah, in the last 10 minutes, let's just have a little get together. We can talk. If people want to unmute, raise their hands. Let's hang out. We want to hear what you think and go over any last questions in the remaining time. Yay, thank you, Christian. Yeah, Ryan, I think this was a great job. You got most of the key features pretty much working for this site. And I've been obsessed with this website since it was suggested. It's very cool looking.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just gonna do the final touches on this thing.
Oh yeah,
As
should
I'm,
I go
as
back
I'm-
to sharing your screen? I'll stop sharing mine. I think people have seen these Venmos. So let me stop sharing my screen so you can go back. I'll figure out how to stop it.
I think it's working out, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you shared over me. Oh, so no one saw my screen? Whoops.
Oh no, I did stop sharing, I believe. I don't know. Um, yeah,
Yes, Claire, I was thinking of this being an ongoing series. So we can feature Ryan again, or we can feature anyone who's free to do it within our community. If anyone here wants to do it too, reach out to me. And um, yeah, what did everyone think? This was our first time doing it. So if you have any ideas for what we can try next time, please bring them up now. Let's talk about it.
yes. I guess I have a question. If I was gonna do this again, was it helpful to see me just like struggle for a long time on stuff, or should I try to prepare a little bit, but was it, yeah, I just don't know what's helpful to people. The struggle is real.
We enjoyed
That was
seeing you
not that was not
struggle.
a staged struggle. That was not acting. That was real. Sweet. Thank you everyone for being so nice about that. And I had a feeling Googling is helpful, but my Googling is unhinged sometimes as well. And also working together, this is a good lesson because shout out to Benjamin for, right, suggesting that one. Did I credit you properly? Cool. Yeah, that's sick. What did you search? I mean, like, it's a really unique. Now it's gone. This P5 thing really does appear and disappear as it pleases. I can do like white, right? I don't even understand the colors in P5. 255, right? I mean, maybe let me just try putting this all the way at the top here. Could be this. There's so many confusing things about this website, but I'm glad we could get into it together. I don't think there is a background color on this. Um, yeah, P5 is one of those libraries where it's like, I don't know. It was weird because it was working so well with that line. That line technique was like really hitting. Um, I think some of the issue is that I'm just like, I haven't been keeping that good care of my variables. I think there's like just too many things fighting for each other. Um, Very performant on here, more performant than on Chrome. That's something I've realized lately is that Fire or just Chrome in general, I think it has something to do with like the extensions, or I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I've realized that it sucks for when it comes to performance on like anything animated. Just doesn't work very well on Chrome. All right. But yeah, feel free to poke around on the site that I just put up, painting a website. And I'll push this little change I made here. So this should be live in just a sec. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. That grid thing you did, by the way, in SAS was a game changer. I never even thought of doing that with the for loop and everything.
Yeah, that one is powerful. I learned it from, I made this site here. I just want to share. I made this site called brick.rip. Let's see if it'll load in time. Yep. Okay. It's like a mood board website, and it has all of these changeable grid sizes. You basically can change stuff onto a grid. And I was looking for a way to like quickly generate these things. And yeah, that's a good use case. I mean, the grid is just so powerful. CSS grid is just crazy. Yeah, it comes in really handy, especially when it comes to like
that layout was crazy.
Yeah, there's also, I did another version of that one. Is it, maybe this is just site showcase time. Yeah, this one. Open typing. This is just another fake layout site. Pretty bad. Oh, okay, here we go. Same idea, but it has animation.
This is wild, Ryan.
Yeah, it's way harder than you think to animate the CSS grid. I had to get like a ton of just like a ton of like libraries installed just to do this. But
we only have a couple of minutes, but could you just tell everyone which libraries to look up?
yes, because I mean, I'll pull this up real quick. I lost everything. Let's see. Okay, not there. No, I'm sorry here. Animate CSS grid. I think it's just this one. Yes, it is this one. Check out these. Yeah, I'll put the link in right here. If you're interested in animating, because it's something that's like not, it's weirdly difficult. But yeah, it works beautifully. So highly recommend that. And yeah, a lot of this was built in Svelte, which it's pretty easy to use these kind of libraries in Svelte just because they're like, yeah, pretty quick. And then I think I did like a transition all on like everything on the entire page, which I think is how I got that like clock to animate and bounce. Yeah. Sweet. All right. Thanks everyone for joining today. And yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this. And yeah, take a look at the website. And yeah, hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks everyone. Ryan, can you share your website or Instagram? Where can people find you?
Oh yeah, website is Ryan Scheuer. Here, I'll just type it, ryanscheuer.com. And then Instagram at sauce.design.
And yes, Ilan, I will include the Venmos for donation in the follow-up email. I'll also share it real quick right now. Ryan, if it's okay, I'll take over the screen sharing.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining. We'll send a follow-up email as soon as I get this video recording. I'm gonna have to splice it together from halfway from the YouTube, halfway from the Zoom. But yeah, please donate to these places on Venmo, help us support free programming, and everything will go directly to Ryan. And yeah, thank you everyone. I'm so happy with the turnout and hope everyone had a good time.
Thank you again.